Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we doing? Ooh, it has been quite a journey for me over here in San Francisco since the Libra full moon. But I'm back and I'm very excited to move with you all through the current that we are navigating right now as we move towards a Mars-Pluto opposition and into the Taurus New Moon. So we're going to start with the Mars-Pluto opposition because it's happening the day before on Saturday, the 26th, the Taurus New Moon. Now, in many ways, this third opposition between Pluto and Mars of Mars's whole retrograde journey, and Mars is starting to get closer to coming out of that shadow finally. In a couple of weeks, we'll be out of Mars shadow retrograde, is really laying a lot of template energy. It is helping us to understand, is another way to feel into this, what we can expect from Pluto's retrograde, which occurs on the 4th of May. That's when it begins. So while we are right now navigating a current where all of the planets are moving forward, and we have this push of forward momentum moving through, there is a lot of energy in the nether world. And that is true for the Taurus New Moon as well. This Mars-Pluto opposition, it'll be with Mars at 3 degrees of Leo and Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius, basically to the minute of where Pluto is going to go retrograde. Pluto moves very slowly and is already kind of drilling down at that location where the retrograde will occur. So we're feeling Mars starting to release from all of that internal work that was being done over since the middle of last year, really, into outward expression of self, right? It's in Leo, taking the stage, saying, I am here, I am here, I have drive, I have purpose, I am here on purpose, right? And Pluto is like, well, wait a minute, slow down, take a beat. And the sign Aquarius is unique expressions. It is that blended energy of an air sign, which Aquarius is, but as the water bearer, we get to feel how interconnected our emotional plane and our mental plane are. And when we were talking during the Libra full moon about those codependent patterns, you can start to feel our traumas and the stories that we've told ourselves, that we've been told about who we are, all interplay, not just in the mental plane, but also in our hearts, in our emotional plane, those inner child and those deep wounding areas of our emotionality. And a lot of what we do in shadow work journeying, in soul retrieval, in all of this amazing exploration work that we do is bringing our awareness to the stories and how they make us feel so that we can parse through and discover what's real. Okay? So Pluto is slow down. Wait a minute. There might be some stuff that you overlooked as you were navigating who you are and where you belong, as Mars went retrograde through Cancer and is forward again, moving back into the Leonian area. Leo can be very bombastic and ready to go, charge ahead, full-hearted, brave. I'm here, right? So it's an invitation to say, wait a minute. Did I miss anything? Is there another piece to the puzzle that I'm ready to discover now? These journeys of introspection, that's the word we're going to use. These journeys of introspection, these black ray journeys, invite us to remember that every time we come back up to the surface, we can see deeper. The waters are less murky, so we can see deeper and we can explore more of who we are. Things that would have been hidden from view when we were navigating those shallow waters are now accessible. So we are constantly dive deep down, come back to the surface, dive deep down. And each time we dive, we can dive deeper. Each time we rise higher. So you can feel, perhaps now, the energy, that foundational energy, the template that this Mars-Pluto opposition is starting to invite us to explore as we come into a very physical, introspective Taurus New Moon. So as I said, this Pluto-Mars opposition is going to be the day before, on the 26th of April, and actually in over at Circle in our members portal. That's the day that we're going to have our gathering. Then on the 27th of April at 12:31 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, no, daylight time, will be the peak of the new moon. Now, Taurus is already a very material earth sign, very manifestation orientated, very materialist. It's about our physicality, much more so. I mean, both Virgo and Capricorn, they are earth signs. They have that as part of their template. The way that Taurus energy operates as a fixed sign, however, is much more about the mattered state of being. It is the physicality. And it's not just the physicality, it is in some ways the densest aspects of the physicality. This particular new moon, which is occurring at 7 degrees of Taurus, is making a fixed grand cross with Mars-Pluto. It's a bit loose because Mars will by then be at 4 degrees of Leo and Pluto will be very slowly rotating, just kind of spinning on its axis, right, at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So it's a little bit loose on that axis, but directly across from the new moon itself, the sun and the moon, we have Hecate over in Scorpio at 7 degrees. Now, Hecate's energy is all-consuming, all-encompassing energy. It is the maiden, the mother, the crone. It is all the phases of the moon. Okay, all the phases of the moon, all of the phases of the life cycle. All of us, our whole beingness is Hecate's energy. Hecate is also the guardian of the crossroads, coming into contact with the full scope and breadth of the soul's journey and inviting us to look at where we've been and where we're going and all of the options that exist in every direction around us. Hecate is also the queen of the witches, so we can get a lot of kick up in what is sometimes termed the witch wound, the sister wound, or in particular in those places where we have bound ourselves, have tied ourselves, have kept ourselves from the full experience of creative or magical thinking, or from introspective journeys. Hecate is very closely connected to the Black Ray, to that energy of the Magdalena, that introspective journeying. When we think of witches, we think of looking in a vessel of water or a mirror or a globe of some sort, right? A crystal orb. And what this is helping us to remember is that this is reflective practicing. The Black Ray is reflective. The introspective journey is a reflective journey. Sometimes we reflect only outwards. We pick up and we reflect back at those around us, what we think they want to see, what they need to see. But when we're alone, when we are introspective, when we are moving through the layers and levels of our being, we are reflecting upon ourselves. Can you feel that? So instead of looking into a lake to see what other people are up to, you gaze into this reflective surface to see what is true within you. Now, feel the introspective nature of a new moon across the way. Now, Scorpio, also where Hecate resides, is a sign of transformation, of revealing of hidden or occulted information, revealing secrets. It is about power, where we find our power, where we give our power away. As I said before, Taurus, across the way where the sun and moon are residing, we find that physicality, that mattered state of being. One of the ways that we can play with this fixed grand cross is those subtle realms, those stories we've told ourselves about what it means to be incarnated into an earthly form, into a human body. Now, we just had Easter. It was a powerful Easter portal, being that it was a last quarter moon. The moon at 1 degree of Aquarius on Easter Sunday, Mars at 1 degree of Leo, right across from one another, and the sun at 1 degree of Taurus. So we had that T-square, right? Kind of laying the foundations for this Taurus new moon and that Mars-Pluto opposition. So what is Easter, this Catholic holiday? What are Catholic prayers? What does it bring up for you when you feel into, and you don't have to have been raised Catholic or even have a strong connection to the Christian church to feel into this, because it is one of the world religions, one of the major arcana, if you will, of the world religions. All of us have come into contact with these stories at some point. And one of the biggest stories of Catholicism in particular is that the human body is a sin, right? So here we have the templates being laid, And the story of Easter Sunday, of course, is the transcendence from the human body, the release of. Now, Passover, which ended on Easter Sunday this year, is also a release or a liberation from slavery, is what is being celebrated there. So all of these energetics in that last quarter moon, a final lunation before we go into the new, right? And the moon starts to darken more and more and more each day until we get to the new moon. What are we being liberated from? Perhaps old stories that our bodies are sin, that the human condition is a sin, that the material realm is something less than, right? All of these stories that it is something that we must transcend. But what if the thing that we're being really invited to remember now is not that this physicality is in and of itself a sin, but rather that physicality, materialism, with no connection to the divine, is a state of dis-ease. It puts us in a state of dis-ease. Now, the divine is simply that. It is source. It is the soul. It doesn't have to be one of the big three or four, right? It is simply a remembering that we are souls having a human experience, that we go on and on and on, as opposed to getting lost in the, sometimes it's called the passions, right? The everyday experience of incarnation, forgetting, completely disconnecting from that truth that we are a soul having a human experience. So this new moon is helping us to lay these foundations, right? To release old dogmas about what it means to be incarnate, what it means to be physical. Pluto helping us to feed ourselves from Aquarius. Remember, the water bearer rains the elixir of life upon the earth. The food of the gods is transited from the heavens to the earth. We, as the bridge, receive. And it is, of course, our food that we are receiving. So all of this is happening. Where are we receiving this food? Where are we receiving this food? Into our hearts, into our minds, deep into the cellular structure of our bodies. When we talk about light codes, downloads, light body symptoms, all of these things, right? All of these things. And then we get to play with Venus and Saturn on this new moon, conjunct Saturn at 27 of Pisces, Venus at 28, now moving forward once again, fully birthed in her morning star form, with the North Node at 26 of Pisces, and all of them in a beautiful square dance with the South Node over in Virgo and the Galactic Center, inviting us to remember that we are so much bigger. There is so much more than this earthly realm that we once believed was the whole, right? We get to, I mean, even with first Hubble and then James Webb, we're getting to see so much more. And we're remembering every time we see one of those images that all of that cosmic debris, all of that space dust, so are we, right? We see it and we feel it viscerally. It comes into us in such a physical way because we are made of it. We can remember that. All of these energies, where we have been, that South Node in Virgo, and where we're going, that North Node in Pisces, forming a bow of sorts. And in Sagittarius, the Galactic Center, the arrow. Galactic Center, the arrow. That's a T-square, right? It's kind of a bow, then arrow. And of course, Sagittarius is the archer. So even better. When we move through the galactic center, we're able to connect with all of that which is around our galaxy. We remember that even as vast and mind-blowingly full of light and life and space as our galaxy, this Milky Way that we currently reside in, may be, it is also but a fleck of sand in the full cosmic soup that is this universe, which is itself but a mere fleck of sand in the all universes, right? And we feel so small and insignificant and so huge and expansive at the same time. And this is what it means to connect with the soul, with the divine in physical form, to feel both completely alive, huge, and small. I just got this vision of being the elephant and the mouse. The elephant and the mouse. So we'll play with that. Now, Venus and Saturn working here with the North Node, we can feel that, like that foundational, the machinations of time, the experience and exploration of time itself, of the karmic wheel that seems to only go in one direction from our earthly material perspective. And Venus, who flips back and forth between morning star and evening star every 15 months or so, 18 months or so, helps us to remember that things go in many directions all at once and invites us to explore that. One of the things that it feels really important to put a little pin in for us is that one of the energies of all of this current that we're navigating right now, this entire year is a year of transformation. It is a 9-year, a year of the snake. We are shedding skin. We are moving through things. Neptune has already moved into Aries, is at 1 degree. Actually going to have the final Neptune Venus conjunction right around the same time that Pluto goes retrograde on May 4th. So all of that movement into May, all of a sudden Saturn is joining that party in Aries. Into June, and Jupiter moves from Gemini into Cancer. Into July, and Uranus moves out of Taurus and into Gemini. Now, with the case of Neptune, it's been since the Civil War since Neptune was in Aries. In the case of Uranus in Gemini, it's about the same. These planets move slow. So to have all of them switching signs in this small span of time is a reminder that we are really moving energy. We are really moving the template. We are changing the script and the storyline. We are evolving. On the day of the new moon, we have another energy, and that is Selena White Moon being exactly conjunct the stellar dimension of Sirius. There's a lot more of things as well, but this is the one that wants to come through right now. Selena White Moon is the white ray. It is that diamond light, white Christ consciousness. It has a very similar template to the energy of Sirius itself. If you've ever tuned into the energetic of this stellar dimension of Sirius, a lot of times you will feel this diamond white light, almost blue effervescent, right? It's very crystalline, very high frequency. What we term Christ consciousness has the same resonance, right? It is the, let me feel how this wants to be shared. It is that top down sort of expression of our soul, those parts of the soul that have never experienced physicality before. Those parts of the soul that have never experienced physicality before. With Selena White Moon, which is reflective in the full moon perspective. So really shining a light on proceedings, exactly conjunct Sirius during this very black ray sort of new moon, we are getting to play with that dichotomy, that both and, that calling in of those parts of our soul self, those parts of our divine light that have never before experienced physicality. And that is part of the elevation, the evolution of humanity. Can you feel perhaps the momentum building? Can you feel that momentum building, that kind of chugga, 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 chugga of I clear out more, I call in more, I clear out more, I call in more. Now, one of the side effects of this is something that I have just come through, which is in a very physical lunation like this, the light body symptoms can pull up some of the densest parts of our physicality. For me, this was a massive bronchial expression. I used to get bronchitis when I was a little girl a lot. I got it almost every year, starting at about 1 year old. It waned and it waxed and it waned and it waxed. And then all of a sudden last week, it was like, boom, you have some stuff in your heart center, in your trauma, in your mental plane. You have accessed a new layer of plaque, of buildup around your heart space and around your senses that is ready to be released now. And so it was. Oh, no, it was. And I was down for the count for a couple of days. You can probably still hear it in my sinuses. But these things occur. Sometimes it's a massive headache that does not want to let go. Sometimes it'll be a sore throat or tightness or ringing, TMJ sort of experience. A lot of this is what we call light body symptoms, right? It is connecting to aspects of the density, the physicality that are ready to release, to make space for that light that is being called in. And the more of this lightness of being that comes in, the more we're able to blow the doors off of old patterns and stories that no longer suit our state of being. Let them go, let them move, let them be revealed to you. Now, there's lots of different ways to experience this. You may not have a chest expansion moment. You may find that you have a really bad tummy ache, or that you just need to dance, or take long walks, or work with tree magic and sit in the forest. Listen to yourself and what you need as you move through this really powerful Taurus new moon. And then, like I said, on the 4th of May, Pluto is going to go retrograde. This is about the same day. I think May 3rd is the day that Venus and Neptune make their final conjunction of the Venus retrograde cycle. So there's going to be a whole lovely piece to play with there. This Pluto retrograde is in a year with so much going on. It's hard to say that it is the template for the rest of the year, but it is one of the signature energies for the rest of the year. The retrograde itself is going to go from the 4th of May to the 14th of October. It's taking us through a whole lot of this year, right? It's taking us all the way back to the 1st degree of Aquarius, but not back into Capricorn this time. This is the first Pluto retrograde that stays completely in Aquarius. Look at what you have in the beginning of degrees of the fixed signs. So that's Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. See what's there. It might help to alight what it is that you are going to be navigating during this cycle. And like I said, over in Circle, we are going to have our members gathering on the day of the Mars-Pluto opposition. And this is going to be a full open channel frequency transmission and activation, working with those Pluto retrograde energies so that we can really start to move them through our systems and prepare for what's ahead. I would love to hear how all of this is moving for you. This update, we went to some really amazing places. And if it calls for you to come over to Circle, there will be a link below. I'm really excited about the way that that our new home is taking shape. I'm also going to talk during our Circle about another energy that's really loud during this Taurus new moon concerning Jupiter, the Hathors, and the rose dragons. I have a feeling that they're going to be some of the space holders for that circle. Let's just take a couple moments and breathe together, shall we? As well as I can breathe with my nose still a bit stuffy. However, all of this beautiful energy is moving through your system in whatever way it's showing up, I'm sending you, as always, in the always, so much and many loves from the dimensions of the all and beyond the beyond. Please do like the video, subscribe, share it, come over to Circle and say hi, all the things. Until later, until the next time, bye.